Hello, Taurus, to your timeless, the love variant reading. Please bear in mind a few things before we get started. These messages may resonate a bit more if Taurus is a sign found in your sun rising and or Jupiter position. However, if you're here for your moon placement, please bear in mind that you may be seeking emotional redemption that this reading may not provide, for it is a general reading as well. Keep that in mind. So you may be inclined to check out my sister channel, Bastas Energy. She can help you out there. If I sound a little bit nasally, I am a bit congested at this time. Ether energy in this vortex is pretty intense. All right, now, as always, past, present, and future energetical timelines could come forth of vibrancy within a reading, so use your discernment to take all of that which belongs to you and to leave the rest behind. The love variant covers whatever the love variant reading wants to cover. So it could be about being single, being partnered up, polyamorous, marriage, divorce. Whatever comes up, karmic, divine, is what gets talked about. All right, so just bear that in mind. The storyteller, viewpoints, control. Here, let me see if I can. I don't have a lot of leg room. Such. All right, the storyteller, viewpoints, control, the vengeance, overcoming slights, a choice, the masquerade, hiding your true self, projection, the diviner, divine timing, evaluation. Whew, this is intense. This is definitely about like soulmate energy for sure. More soulmate than it is true divine counterpart. Okay, it's about understanding the niches of self and shedding them along the way to get deeper rooted into who you are, Taurus. A lot of you love relationships, love commitment, love loyalty. So this is about taking you into depths of love that love has for itself and making sure that you're not false in the storytelling of what it is that you're after. That what you provide in the daytime is just as much as pure as the longevity that you'd like to withhold in your imagination and fairy tales. Some of you have very strong lineage of genealogy and ancestral power here that is really anchoring you to believe in the narrative that you are living, and which is a wonderful energy that I'm feeling because you're doing it with vengeance, all right? And this vengeance isn't negative. It's about you're wanting to literally overcoming slights. You're really taking it onto your prerogative to make sure that you cross out all your T's and you dot all your I's. You take any kinks out of your life, and you really want to make sure that the story that as to why you're here not only makes sense for your mind and makes sense for your heart, but makes sense for the ether connection that you share with your soul. And it is very tumultuous for you to see that at certain points in your destiny or your destined path, which is something that unfolds with every choice that you make. Whether you believe in destiny or not is really not the case here, or the point that we're after. It's that you are answering to a divine timing of some kind. And you understand that with you being curious about that, you are also going to get an evaluation. And that evaluation is something that a lot of people want to live right by before that evaluation were to come and they were to transcend and leave this earth plane and go to another dimension. Or, when something happens and we who are conscientious of self-awareness want to understand that we can become evaluated at any point in time, if space, and to not be a falsehood, or to bring a mockery to what falseness means, so that way you can live better in your truth, Taurus. A lot of you who have unhealed traumas are doing a bit of a masquerade show of yourself with your own ego, and your ego is going to push the limits of how much you think you can control the ego, because the ego is an entity of itself, and that ego is very poignant into making sure that you not only get the things that you want, but that you are successful, that you are continuously active, that you are continuously doing something, the doer of your doing. And however, if there are modalities where that gets tarnished because you want to have control of something that's inevitable and not something that for you to control, the ether will confuse you. You will think it's ego. You will define it as vengeance, being the purveyor of what it is that you're after. But that little niche that's wrong is that it's misplaced and misguided. The misguided comes from unhealed parts of you, that if you bring that into any relationship, especially with yourself, but into relationships that are very dear to you, you will be tested in ways that even if you wanted to fulfill the very makings of what you are, the testament of the relationship is going to test those niches of unhealed wounds and traumas. Fool energy. I mean, it's to be expected that the Fool comes out at this time, all right? It's the energy that wants to say, I have the ability to be of unconditional love and unconditional pursuit. I don't shy away from taking sacrifices and being independent. I don't shy away from taking new challenges and going in an aloof manner towards wherever the thing I'm thinking I need to go to, all right? And even if that thing isn't a thing, but it's a feeling or a calling, it's something that you are a bit enjoying about yourself, okay? You are enjoying the decisions that you're making and the conclusions that you're drawing. You are enjoying the relationships that you do get to intermingle with. There's a bit of nostalgia and wanting to have certain relationships be rekindled, but I don't see that happening for some of you. This is not for all. This is about, for those that are not rekindling, those are about like where the spirits just didn't get along, and where the spirits between you and another individual, Taurus, was misguided by, I feel, Taurian energy, because you, as the Hierophant energy in tarot, you embody a love of information that is prestigious and is capable of having a tonality that teaches people. So you can be a preacher, you could be a rabbi, you could be a leader, you could be at the center stage of a community without you even really liking the role, but people want to gravitate to you because the way you have a high priestess of appeal of being able to bring context, bring story, bring romance to the things that you are reading, the things that you are computing, the things that you are becoming and want to impute for yourself. There's a level of innocence with maturity involved with that is very attractive energy about you. It also makes you very attractive. Seven of Wands. So that individuality is about you holding on to that vengeance, holding on to the fight of freedom. And in darkness of days, you do understand there is no such thing as freedom. There is a cost to the idea of being as free as much as the Fool thinks he is, because if he doesn't pay attention to where he's going, he's going to fall off that cliff, right? So there is like a saying, be you, but don't be too much you, because apparently there's darkness around the corner, there's possible chaos around the corner, and it's really not fair to think of a value of a card in that aspect that, yeah, take all the energy, be the fool, but don't be it all. Don't be all of it. Don't be too much of it, right? And it's interesting when you can be in society and you can be in the viewpoints of medical and or conversationally too much for individuals, all right? Or you could not find enough information about something, but you know you feel too much. So you might be feeling a lot, you go to these doctors and they don't have any kind of fucking idea what the hell is wrong with you. Like, they're sending you there. It's like an ongoing mystery, and that has a lot to do with the Hanged Man energy, putting your perspective in a timeout of whatever timeout means in your resistance of understanding time, and putting you in a vortex of a time portal that however long you need to understand a certain perspective that differs from the rest of the reality that you're in, you're going to be under the Hanged Man appeal. And that Hanged Man honor is to understand that whatever perspective you're learning during this time is to make you stronger, is to make you understand a certain narrative that will make you, when you're upright and awake and just clear-minded, understanding why even in darkness you make those decisions that you make, and why they ultimately hold hands with each other and to provide you the life that you're having. So some of you who are on a quest of love is about understanding the quest for individuality, that the ongoing narrative to figure out whether the partner that you're in is the one is not fulfilling the self-prophecy of yourself at this time. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Look at that, High Priestess comes up. Self-fulfilling prophecy here, all right? There are a lot of you who are going through a lot of synchronizations at this time that overall bring a syncopation to your life. And the only way that can sit well with you is if you sit and learn how to sit well with yourself as you're sitting. There is a pattern that keeps wanting to make itself known within you, Taurus. I see you, but I just don't see what personality trait, without having to go very personal and finical, like getting very detail oriented as what the problem is. But it's an overall, a general consensus that there is a problem of an engine within you. And for the majority of you, it has a lot to do with your sacral chakra. That overexertion energy of like, oh yeah, I'm ready and willing to paint my life and to be who I want to be and to get the mission, for I understand the mission. The High Priestess understands the fucking mission, Taurus. You know, and this is your energy. You understand the mission more than maybe your words allow you to understand that you understand the mission. And or maybe even the words you may require or need to let other people know without bullying too much that you understand the fucking mission. But there is some part of you within the creation of self that you're not living yourself. You're not living the engine of who you are. You're more so trying to become the High Priestess ideology of that, when you are the High Priestess within the ideology of that. Find that of those words for it to make sense. Find the individuality in that, right? And the Hermit comes up. Sitting with ether is absolutely imperative for those who understand the message and hearing the call. Sitting with ether is to understand that you don't have to sit anywhere in any vicinity to walk with earth vibration. You have to have a vibration that tunes into vulnerability and innocence to understand something outside of yourself, and that outside of itself, of yourself, can trigger you to make certain decisions, and that those certain decisions will come in the power of being in the full major arcana energy, because you understand any decision is a decision, whether it's wrong or right. It's pivoting what you need to know, pivoting what you need to stay away from, and overall creating the vessel that understands why you're connected to the umbilical cord of Mother Gaia through the sacral chakra of orange color, and is asking you to create, not to create through vengeance in the thing that you're thinking it's anger that's creating the color, but anger is leading you to the pain, and the pain recognition of that is saying for you to choose wisely on how to paint your anger. Okay, it's the buffering between letting your anger actually speak for itself and you controlling your anger and you being the painter for it. All right, there's a high, astute, incentivized intelligence to be had of self. It is not about an IQ level, it is about an awareness. And once that person understands the awareness of that, they have understood their own calling. Some of you need to rejuvenate with a sacral chakra cleanse. Okay, and the pomegranate always pulls me through that root chakra, sacral chakra cleanse needed. Okay, eating seasonally, eating with the annual clock of the seasons and not to your personal interest of instant gratification. Staying away from junk food. You cannot be a yogi follower and then douse yourself in the darkness of night with a shit ton of fucking like fast food. All right, it just doesn't make sense. So the truth of the situation with the Ace of Swords is that with you solidifying your own truth, all that you seek will be thrown onto you and for you. More so than you could ever even really imagine, because you're living with the breath of life. You're living in the air magic of air abracadabra. You learn as an earth sign that to never be still, because if you hold on to your shit for too long, the earth ray comes and you, Taurus, can't stand. You cannot stand demise of population. You cannot stand when people are suffering. You don't like that shit. And that shit puts you into the tier of vengeance, wanting to do something about it. That gets sometimes misled by people thinking that you're stubborn, put off, standoffish, a bit too much, whatever, over masculine, over feminine. I don't know what the fuck you get criticized with, all right? But whatever it is, it stands in the way of you being who you are. So catching your breath, understanding the rhythm and tune to your own life will help you understand what sovereignty means and why sovereignty and freedom is different, and why that can fulfill all the personal quests of where you think love is missing in your life. Energies are hot and bothered. Yeah, look at that. I'll take those. The 10 of Wands and the World card. All right, some of you may still be thinking, I don't know if y'all thinking that or not, why I take reversals or whatever or not. It's that Bastard and segment are the rulers of light energy, all right? That's going to be very argumentative for how detail-oriented and astute in their intelligence people have with whatever kind of argument they deem to have in wanting to understand how the world functions, right? For that, we have our own prerogative, our own fucking perspective that it is promised by the Hanged Man. We get to see whatever the fuck we want to see, all right? What brings us together is the High Priestess energy and how we're all just accumulating our own bullshit with one another. We can share each other's bullshit. We can live through each other's bullshit. We can find a culmination of being vulnerable through all the similarities, but what we all have together that we share the same is being in the flesh of human skin, all right? The skin being the biggest organ that we have to our body, that is inducive to being that filter about that air magic. Do you understand what's happening here? All right, it doesn't matter how our ego gets pushed and punished with what we think we agree with or others or not. It doesn't matter if a reader is right or wrong. It's about the resonancy of whether or not you fuck with the information. Right? The more intense the energy gets, the more we understand it's not about it trying to trigger us to get more neurotic or pain is about to trigger us into that Ten of Wands energy. Are we going to get up and do something about it? Or are we going to trigger that mucky energy that still needs to be healed in the sacral and root chakra and uproot those fiery engines and get something done? Our life is a living proof of that mastery of getting things done, always putting in work. Sometimes we get paid, sometimes we pay dues, sometimes we owe dues, sometimes we accrue debt, but what is not missing is the fact that we're always breathing. Once we understand that ultimate highest level form of honor that we have in having a living breath besides everything else, we'll understand how interconnected we all are. And no matter what different viewpoint somebody has, what makes them them is already proof enough, because they're existing in a world that we get along because there's peace and not war. That, on a minuscule level, we need to conquer within ourselves and our mind and understand why the Fool energy is a structural energy of giving ourselves the ability to honor feminine and masculine energy within ourselves, however that means in vulnerability or in actuality of honoring ourselves and saying when we need to pull boundaries, when we need to consent to understanding what a yes is versus a no, and understand those parallel degree differences of sharing vicinities with each other. That is very important to understand in your world of existence at this time, because the more you hold on to your shit, Taurus, the more this energy could catapult into being a tower moment that you just do not stand. You can't handle when life comes in and shakes you up in your boots and you have to act in ways that is very powerful. But the ether is questioning you. Why are you removing yourself from being even more powerful when in the deepness of things you wish to be the forerunner of things and be the most powerful? It doesn't add up in the ego defiance. I hope you understand what that means. The ego needs to be witness to always being in control, but at the knowledge or the absence of knowledge that you're the one actually in control of the ego. The more you understand your own ego, Taurus, the more you understand what it means to honor your own awareness. And that awareness can take you so far in life where money isn't about your bank account. Excuse me. Look at that, King of Cups. The rich enjoyment of energy and making them make sense for yourself. And as you bethrone yourself and knowing that you have emotions that are true and real, you are literally conquering what you need to conquer for yourself, okay? Hold on a second. Come on, guys. Yeah, I know. No. So, Ace of Cups, King of Swords, Queen of Swords. Wow. Nine of Wands, Queen of Cups, and Four of Wands. Shit. Yeah, it's two powerful energies coming together, all right? Whether they're your own energy or you've completed cycles and there is an energy mirroring your existence. There are two defining energies who basically exist within this reading. And like as already mentioned, This is about two strong, interconnected individuals who understand thy missions, all right? Where the King of Cups took a long time to come out, it's about telling you the story as to why you feel as much as you do, and then giving you the permission to understand that there are major situations, frequencies, stories that are happening outside of your own, even beyond the things that you think you know or don't know, or your wisdom. Call it source, call it ether, call it whatever you want. But it's giving you this life experience with the King of Cups energy. The Ace of Cups is saying to be more of who you are, because it's the ace in the hole. And once you understand that you are the King of Swords energy, which when I said air magic with the air of swords energy, you have matured. You have conquered the understanding what it means to have a sacred space within your own mind that no one can obliterate, that no one can touch, because it's yours, and you've figured it out on how to take any kinks that might be wrong or unjustified. You've worked hard on them. You don't know who you answer to, but you answer to something. And you don't know if it's something or if it's someone, but it was done. Whatever that is your creative power. That is your creation, all right? And that creation is about taking the vengeance of what you feel, that everyone fucking feels, and learns how to translate it in a healthier song, in a healthier rhyme and reason, where the issue isn't not exploited, where the issue isn't beat around the bush. It's about saying exactly what you need to say. Never needing to polish words besides the ones that will make it more clear to what it is you've been saying this whole entire time. And there are two people in this reading who are sharing deeply that sense of longing of connectivity with one another, because they have it for themselves. And when things get chaotic, it's because they are lost within themselves that brings them into bringing trauma into the relationship. But this isn't about that. This is about understanding your trauma and needing to look into the darkness to understand why the fuck it's there, so that when darkness is there, you're not going to look at it as a darkness, but more so of an absence of light. Changing the perspective of the narrative of which it is you think or feel is inducive to understanding what the soul wants for you in order to have a song and dance that's meant for you. The Queen of Swords here showing up as well is saying that the Queen and King will never go far from each other. They're needed for not more interconnectedness, but more exploited interconnectedness, that the connection that they share between each other has a chance to be exploited because their existence within the vicinity that they choose to be with one another is creating such a ripple effect that it is the earthquake. Their love is the earthquake to the existence for others. If you still are chiming in to wanting that passion of love, Taurus, you haven't learned it. You haven't understood the assignment. It's not passion that will get you there. Passion is the sense of expression to gift you the ability to be in a moment and share a moment with someone, or to gift a moment of someone or to someone, and anoint a situation that makes you feel very something in a moment. But that's not the point of passion. Passion won't bring you love, and love isn't passion. Don't get the two confused. Don't think that your ego wants you to fetch passion of love. Don't think that your ego wants you to latch on to the inevitability to this reading either. Allow things to come in with a sense of clarity, that when excitement comes into the possibility of something that has not maybe been near you yet, but you feel it there, allow it to be a baby in the making. You don't see it yet, but you're giving it the diet that it needs to come and be as expressive as it wants to when it is ready to appear for itself. I hope that makes sense in one way or another, because these energies are very powerful in wanting to convey the same narrative, but in a different song and dance here, Taurus. And I hope you understand what needs to be understood for you at this time. Look at that. 5 of Pentacles. Oh, Lord. Perspective is a shit show, all right? It is a shit show. We're gonna have to be very fucking honest, all right? Perspective is not something that everyone fucking enjoys. You can have a perspective, and your lover, your partner can maybe hate that perspective or not like that perspective, all right? Why can we use such words and that partner still is your soul partner? Because about individuality means that you're not losing or gaining trying to win an argument of something or making a point. You will never change, even if you feel that your point of understanding your perspective is misguided, misunderstood, unaligned, or unwelcomed by another individual. That's not why this person doesn't like perspective. It's more so about you needing maybe teach why you have a certain mindset in a different song and dance, because the person doesn't love you less for not liking your perspective. It's more so the person feels challenged and wanting to also give you the same feeling on maybe perhaps the same perspective, but they have a different song and dance about what it is that they want to express. So you ultimately have the same fucking feelings, but 2 different languages that don't understand each other feeling this way. And a lot of existence that are like this can start teetering into being twin flame connections, because the individual never gets lost. The individual never gets lost. Whether the arguments go higher or lower, the individuality within the existence of that relationship never gets lost. That's how you can define a difference between if the relationship that you're currently in, if you feel like you're losing out. If you're losing out in feeling guilty and feeling animosity and feeling vengeance and feeling jealous, you're losing. And in that loss, it's not your connection. Because you're trying to fulfill something that doesn't exist by ignoring something that does exist, but ignoring it. And your ego is just so tarnished by what you have entertained it that it cannot teach you to go to the other song and dance when you've never explored it. So that's why individuality is very important to learn in any type of relationship. Whether you're in 1, 2, 3, whatever type of relationships, you need to understand what individuality is in order to understand the fruitful metamorphosis of what love within partnership or partnerships can offer to you. Fucking ego card here. Ooh, the devil. Devil. All right, the devil, the magician, the 4 of cups. All right, Taurus. It is imperative that you understand what your ego is. Okay, ego is very important here, but not the ego that you think immediately when you're like, oh, ego. I don't have an ego. She says I have an ego. Not that ego. All right, gonna have some exploring to do. We're going to talk about your ego, not here, but we're talking about your ego that has matured over time that you haven't given attention to. You haven't given attention to, because it has actually learned a lot up to this point. More so than you, the individual, who is still trying to figure out what to do, and if this is right, and can I trust this, can I go there, is this a person snitch, that person, the ego knows more about you than your little fucking weird kinks right now. All right, and it's because you're like a little scattered little rat right now. You're a little rat trying to understand things, but don't be a guinea pig. Don't be a lab rat. Don't be one of those that succumbs into being under the studies of someone else. A rat is a highly intellectual being. So use that as a power. Use words that you may have sounded like bad before, and try to put a positive twist to it. You know, not everything that glitters is gold. That's correct. But not everything that shits is necessarily a bad thing. All right. And not everything that someone shits is because it was bad. Let's put it that way. I mean, it wanted to come out that way. I don't know what to tell you. All right. All right, we have repeat after me. The end starts a new beginning. The universe has multiverse. And visions are part of sight. All right, Taurus, that is all that I have for you at this time. I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space. And may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.